Hi, friends. All right. Let's talk about setting up and drafting a section view. And we're doing this first with our ground plan, our theater building plan, and then we'll come back and do this again once we've drafted in the scenery. Okay. So if you look at the handouts that I sent you, there is a reference view that has both the scenery and the ground plan drawn in section. But I'm going to go over that with you guys right now. So to match up with the way that it looks in your packet, in your handouts, I do have the door on the bottom left in those. And so that's what I'm going to start with over here. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my two drawings. So this is a printout, because I am lazy, of the a printout of the solution, right, for the 1/4 inch ground plan view. And then my clean sheet of vellum for my section. And mine is garbage, but yours won't be. Yours is going to be nice. So the first thing I'm going to do is the goal of this equation, right, is that I set my vellum on top of my previous drawing, and then I can use this to transfer the lines down into my new section drawing, right? I can use this as a reference. So in your case, you'll line up the edges of your plates so that they match from plate to plate, how it's centered in the drawing. And then you will grab your T-square, square this to the drawing first, like square your original drawing first, and then square your new piece of vellum on top of that sheet, offset, so that you have space to draft your section down here. So I'll do that, and then I'll be back and talk to you some more. Okay, so now I have my two sheets stacked on top of each other. Excellent, great, wonderful. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I might have already done this because it's drawn in here, but the next thing I would do if I'm you, right, is I would measure and find the center of the back wall, give yourself a tiny mark, and then practice drawing. Remember that center line, the long dash, short dash, long dash, short dash? You're going to draw that center line down the center of your drawing, and then you'll also put that centerline CL marker on it, okay? Because the drafting that we are doing as our section view will be a centerline section view. So it will be the view if we cut the drawing through this line, okay? So draw your center line. Got that? Okay, great. The next piece of information, and this is on that handout for you, that will be of interest is the height of the theater. So the height of the theater is 17 feet. Just eyeball on your 1/4 inch scale, what does that look like, right? It's like this tall, okay? So you want to make sure you have that much space above your title block, right? Because your title block is down here in this corner, this corner, this corner of your plate is your title block. And then you need about that 17 feet. So the first thing you're going to do is be like, okay, so I know I need about that much space. Better. I know I need about that much space, right? So I'm going to just pick a ground line. It's usually going to be above the height of my title block. And I'll draw that in. I'm going to draw it in with a heavier lead so that you can see it. But you don't have to start with that. Okay? So a ground line, that's my first step. I want to make sure it extends past both sides of my charming ground plan, right? So I want to make sure I go all the way past both sides of it, because that is going to be where we bring down our vertical lines from our section view, okay? So we will now draw from the back of the house from the back of the theater towards the back of the house, the various lines that give us the building. And we'll just use our triangle to transfer those lines down, okay? So I set my T-square in place, and then I pull this line, right? Pull it down, right? Then I pull the other side of this Okay. So that's the back wall. I pull here for this center wall, and something that you'll notice on this center wall is that we are at the dashed line point, we are inside of a doorway. So what that means is when you go into hatch, because these are a section view, you will still have that hatching happening, right, over the thickness of these walls. This section, which is inside of a doorway, if you were to look in one direction or the other to take this section view, you will only see, you'll see the inside of that door, right? And then you will start cutting away above the height of the door. So I would take the height of a door, which is 6'8". At least standard doors are 6'8". And I would measure that far up from the floor and just go ahead and place that horizontal line in so I don't forget when I come back to hatch. Okay. So up until this point, right, I am seeing through, and then past that point, like this section all gets hatched. This gets hatched, and it'll be nice and beautiful because you'll take a lot of time and do it correctly, and I'm just kind of sketching things in. So the last thing I'll pull down in terms of walls is the back wall. So I can pull that down, right? I can pull down the other side of that wall. Then I can measure for that 17-foot height. And depending on who you are, it's nice to like give yourself a depth of floor to seat underneath it. So maybe a little bit thicker than the walls for the floor. And then you can also give yourself that ceiling if you want to, or you can just use a line across the ceiling. So let's grab that 17-foot measurement. It would end here. Use my T-square to strike that horizontal line at the top of these walls. So that's my ceiling. And then I can erase any lines that go past that because I don't need them, right? The room stops here. All right, the next thing that we need is the seating risers, okay? So once you have your walls are all set in place, then you're going to pull down the lines for your seating risers. And in this case, even though we do have that dashed line in here, I think we'll draw the individual steps instead of this block where the stage manager's booth is, just because I don't think it's going to be as efficient for us in terms of like explaining what this theater looks like. So I would just shift my line a little bit up so that I'm getting all 5 steps of risers. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I don't need to go all the way up towards the ceiling with these lines that I'm pulling down. I really just need the height of each riser, and each riser is going to be 8 inches tall. So I'm just going to give myself a set of lines that are taller than I need them to be. And then I can come back in and measure to grab those horizontals for the cross piece, okay? So I'll pull one of these lines at each step. And this triangle is kind of trash. Look how crooked those lines are. It's all good. I mean, for me at least, doesn't matter for my life. So I'm going to do another 8 inches up for each step. So 8, 16 is 1'4". Right. 8 times 3 is 2 feet, 24 inches. And then 24 and 8 is 2'8". 2'8", and another 8 inches is 3'4". Is that right? Yeah, it's 3'4". And that is our highest step. So then I'll come in with my T-square and drop those horizontals in going up. If I were smart, I would do it coming down so that I'm not rubbing my T-square over my lines. I would start at the top and come back down, but I'm already in it, so that's that. All right, and then we can erase all the extra boogers, and there's a lot of them, but I'm not going to clean this up completely, right? So those are now my riser steps. And then I come in, I'm going to just give myself like a foot tall floor-ish underneath, right? Erase all of these connections. I mean, you can keep them if you want. If you want to, with these risers, you can erase these interior lines since it is one solid mass as far as our eye goes, right? And then you can draw your diagonal lines through that whole section. So things that will get diagonal lines: walls, block of risers because you're cutting through it, floor underneath the world, not this opening here because this is the door, but above the door. So this part gets diagonal lines, that part gets diagonal lines, down here gets diagonal lines, right? Anything that you're cutting through, right? And then these guys. And for clarity, if you wanted to do diagonals in the opposite direction, you can. It's up to you. So that is the section view. So that plate will be due at the end of this week. And then next week, we will put the scenic ground plan into your ground plan view plate and transfer it into a section view as well. So you'll do both of those steps with the scenic ground plan next week. Okay, great. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.